Wait, if it was a fight till death between him and a golden-throated marmot, who would win? Fight till death, because this thing's biting him.
A baseball bat or a rock, he could win for sure. If it was literally just Peter versus singular yellow-throated Marten, the Marten
both
will
naked.
win. Both naked.
Oh, nude really does
bare
add
knuckle.
a fearsome element to it. Wild times.
Woo! I was hoping there was going to be like an Indian, like ring ding 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 ding, like version of the Wild Times today, because I'm very into that at the moment. But
we told Kyle that we wanted that, and he didn't do it.
Yeah,
alas,
couldn't find it.
I mean, he is a very, very amateur producer, to be honest.
Even though he's unpaid and only 21, I'm really disappointed he didn't have it composed.
That's right. I don't know why he didn't pick up all the musical instruments, learn how to play them, compose the song. Is it so much to ask, Kyle?
He needs a sitar. He couldn't find one, I heard. $1,000 on
gentlemen,
Craigslist.
Namaste from India.
Namaste.
I found myself.
Shut the fuck up.
Okay. No, I found myself. That's what I came to India for. I'm right here. I'm in India. There's a mirror literally right in front of me. See? Right there.
Don't move anything. We just spent 20 minutes setting this up.
No. Just calm down. I found myself. I get why every basic white woman comes to India now. I get it. You're here when you get here.
How are your sexual escapades throughout India going?
Yeah. Oh,
yeah,
no.
he did
this
it.
Is what happened.
He unplugged his mic.
What a moron.
Peter, you knew it. You knew
it's fine. It's back.
Okay,
it's back. It's got like a little light that tells me when it's working.
All right.
Dude, so wait, where are you? What's going on? Everyone knows it's the Wild Times, episode 10 something. Great. What's going on?
Yeah, let's just get into it. It's the Wild Times. This is our show. If you haven't watched it by now, you're too late. Just fucking sign off.
Yeah, there's like 100,000 subscribers we've gained in the last 28 days.
Sign off. Stop watching. Don't listen to this podcast. I'm telling you right now.
He's a real jerk.
Leave.
Watch for me and watch for the Spiceman.
Don't listen to this. It's a waste of your time. All right, I'm joking. I'm here. So it's great. So I'm with my mom. It's just my mom and I, and we are traveling around. First, we went to Nepal, and we went to look for red panda in, I'm just blanking on it. In the high Himalayas, I'm blanking on the name of the national park, in the Nepali National Park. And that was absolutely incredible. We found one red panda each day, which is very good for sightings up there.
Wow.
Some of them were really far away and hard to get good shots of. And on the second to last day, the trackers were like, right here, like, come. So we it's really hard. You're 12,000 feet, and I've got my 60-something-year-old mother with me. So she's like trying to keep up at 12,000 feet. Like, I can't walk up a flight of stairs without being like,
seriously.
Okay, here we go.
Yeah. She's probably doing a better job than I would.
Wait, so what's the terrain like up there? Is it like Rocky Mountainous scree, or what are you doing?
Oh yeah, we're looking at Everest the whole time. Everest is in the backdrop the whole time. Everest and not K2, but the following 3 largest mountains in the world are the vista at all times. And so,
amazing.
And you're not obviously on par with Everest, but you're looking across this huge valley at it. And so it's super mountainous. There's ice on the ground every morning. It's freezing cold. It's what you think of when you think Himalayas. We're like a couple thousand feet below the permafrost snow level, but you're right there where, it's cloud forest. It's very cold. It is dense bamboo jungle, but it's that cold, cloud foresty Himalayas. It's gray every day. It's very wet. It's very icy.
It sounds miserable.
Wow.
Oh my God, it is the worst road. And that's not where I am now. Now I'm in Kazaringa in Assam in India. This was the first part of the trip. But just getting there was, Patrick, we've been on some trips to get to places.
Indeed,
this was unlike anything I've ever done. It was like 80 something hours to get there. So I drove Santa Barbara to LA, flew LA to Japan, to Tokyo, 14-hour layover in Tokyo to Delhi, overnight in Delhi to Kathmandu, clear customs, Kathmandu to some tiny airport in Nepal, 7.5-hour drive up the worst road I've ever been on. And I've been on off-roading trips to find bad roads. I mean, the worst.
Are you
road
driving,
I've ever
or
been
did you have a driver?
No, I had a driver.
Okay.
Super
Because
nice
I was going to
guy.
say that's a fucking nightmare otherwise.
Oh my God. And the driving there is insane. And then, anyway, it was just nonstop. So it took 3.5 days to get there. Met my mom there, and it was just awesome. This tiny little place. In fact, Kyle, you could pull it up. It's called Habres, Habres Nest, Habres Nest in Nepal. And it's this tiny, traditional Nepalese style homestay. And everything's made out of high mountain bamboo. They give you this is it right here.
Holy shit.
They give you,
that looks amazing.
Go to the third picture, the interior right there. That's the whole building, by the way. Like you're not like, oh, this must be the dining commons or something. That's it.
The dining commons.
Yeah. And it was just awesome. And we just had super fun 4 days of my mom and I, like bunch of different trackers, like 20 trackers out looking for red panda. And then just, with my ultimate goal of taking nice photos of them and my mom's bucket list of seeing them. And it was fantastic.
Kyle, could you pull up a red panda pic?
Go to my pics. Don't just pull up a random one, Kyle. Go to my Instagram post. Let's show the people how good I'm getting with this camera.
How quickly did you get fed up with the trackers and build a meat tree?
No, you know this firsthand, Patrick. These are my shots I took with JQ's camera, by the way. Very proud of them.
Yeah, really great. Holy crap.
Thank you.
That's amazing, that photo.
That's the one everybody likes. I have some really cool tights. Kyle, I'll text them to you while we're chatting, and you can pull them up as well.
Text them to him while one of us is talking, though, please.
No, you're good. Relax.
ADD.
You're good. Anyway, it's you know what I'm like. You think I'm always going to get fed up and tell them they're doing it wrong and like go and do it my own way. These guys were solid. Like they knew exactly what they were doing. They knew how to. Remember when we were in Madagascar and you're like, how did you spot that chameleon? All I see is jungle.
Yeah.
They were like that with me with red panda. They're like, there's a red panda right there. And I'm just looking at this massive mountainscape. And I'm like, there's no red panda there. And they're like, it's right there. How do you not see it? It's that tiny little fur spot on the upper right hand, like third most of the mountain. Like I not see it. And I'm like,
and then the guy took the picture, clearly.
No. Then we tracked to him.
How rare, I admittedly know almost nothing about red panda. How rare are they?
Well, and that's interesting because the guy who I was there with is sort of the lead researcher on them, of course, because it's not like there's a lot of facilities that are dealing with them in the wild. And IUCN has them listed at around 20,000. And he's like, no, we do our own population counts. I don't know why they have that number. There's about 4,000 in the wild. We do face recognition with them. We do AI, to compare all the face shots because every single red panda's face is unique based on the coloring and the markings. And he's like, there's 4,000 tops left in the wild.
Wow.
Dude, that's crazy that you think tracking by scientists, you're like, oh, would they blow a dart at them and then put a bracelet on them? But no, they're tracking them with AI and like digital fucking crazy face tracking and stuff. Like, is that common or is that just something they do with endangered species?
No, it's becoming more and more common. So the way it works is animals that are unique, tigers, right, which all have unique stripe patterns, red panda, which all have unique facial patterns, leopards, panthers, things like that. You just build a database. So you can only do it once you have so many shots, right? So once you have 10,000 face photos, then you can put them all in a database and start matching them and going, okay, the spots on this are the same as the spots on this. That's the same animal. And so then once you build that database, scientists can then use AI to determine how many animals they are because you just go out every day, you shoot photos or you put camera traps and you load them into the system. And then it's like, oh, well, turns out you haven't shot a new animal in the last 5 years, right? Here's how many animals there are. So it gets to you have to reach a point of data entry before you can do that.
Sure, of course.
But, that's a long point and a hard process to get to. But that's what this guy has done up there.
I saw a copy of Neil Waters' Excel spreadsheet where he's tracking the thylacines he's found. It's pretty incredible.
He had over 5,000 entries. Most of them house cats, but
duplicates. I ran a duplicate filter on it.
So is that the first time you'd seen one in the wild? A red panda?
Of course, yeah. There's only really one place you can. So
it's all just in the Himalayas, yeah?
Correct. Yeah. I mean, Nepal, I think they reach into China a little bit and then India. And so it's just that region. And go ahead, Kyle, pull the photos up. I'm very proud of my photos. These are exclusive if you're watching this on YouTube. If you're listening, too bad. These are photos that I shot.
By the way, go back, Kyle.
Fuck off.
So look, Forrest. Obviously, you're at the end of your long lens there. What kind of lens? What are you on there?
I have a
70-105.
70-200.
Mm-hmm. So he's at the end of his 200 mil, or close to it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Little soft on the face. Now,
a little bit.
For you taking that, it's an exquisite photo. Imagine how we would have treated Mitch if that was his shot.
I'd punch him in the dick and tell him to go sit down.
Yeah. No, it's a beautiful shot. Keep going, Kyle.
They're just so cute.
Yeah, they are.
They're very.
How
These
big
are
are
all
they?
punched in all the way.
You gotta love the tongue out. Any animal that sticks its tongue out.
I'm gonna post this photo.
Stunning.
Here's an exclusive for everybody. I'm gonna post this photo and I'm gonna write this caption. Should I quit my day job, move to the Himalayas, and do nothing but fill this page with Red Panda shots? ? Master Sifu says yes, because he looks like Master Sifu from the kids' karate panda movie.
No, haven't seen it.
Yeah, you guys
my kid's not old enough.
Yeah, you guys
My
are
kid's not
super
old
fun
enough.
for this.
No, these are great. How big are these? Like size of like a small dog?
Yes, a little bit bigger than our raccoons.
Okay, so yeah.
I don't know how many pounds, to be honest, but they're a good size. They're like a really big raccoon, like the size of a small golden retriever.
So for someone who literally brought lizards and snakes into class to try to impress girls, and it failed miserably, as someone whose entire job has never had a job outside of wildlife and conservation in their life, couldn't do one, you'd fail.
I would.
You'd be very bad at almost any job except that.
I agree.
Describe the level. Tell me the feel. Like, I actually want to know, like, what is the feeling of joy or exhilaration when you see such a rare animal in the wild for the first time?
It's interesting because I think I'm jaded because I've done it a lot. And if the sighting's not good, I don't get that elation. And so, for instance, the very first morning, there's absolutely no signal at the lodge. You have to hike up like not that far, like maybe a quarter mile up the mountain, and you get like a couple bars of 3G signal. And I got in, I was all stressed out, I was jet lagged. I was like, I got to get on my phone, I got to check emails and respond to stuff. And I grabbed, literally in my sweats and hoodie with a cup of coffee and flip-flops, I walked up the hill the first morning. We got there late at night, first morning, and I'm on my 3G answering emails. And the tracker comes running up the hill. He's like, Mr. Forrest, Panda. And I'm like, oh, cool. And he's like, there. And so I was literally sitting there with my cup of coffee with my phone in my hand. And I turned, and like I was explaining, way across the valley, there was a panda. And I was still in like pajamas and flip-flops. And I was like, I didn't feel much because I was like, okay, I've seen it. Like, I came all this way. I've been traveling for 3 days. I'm still stressed out from like Western world of work and everything else. And it's right there. I mean, it's not close, but like I see the red spot. I've done it. And I was kind of almost like disappointed. I was like, why did we travel for 4 days to just like see it in the first 10 minutes? Right. And then, And then, we went and had breakfast and blah, 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 blah. And the panda disappeared and we didn't see anything the rest of the day. And then went to bed and was kind of like, I guess we've done it. I guess we've seen a red panda. Maybe we should leave sooner, kind of thing is what I was thinking, but not saying it. And then the next day we woke up. Nothing happening. Went and sat. There was a bird hide. Shot some martens, which are these beautiful little yellow-throated animals. Actually, they're really cool. We should talk about them. Terrifying. Even attack people. And nothing happened. Lunch rolled around. Had a lunch. Kind of sitting around. Like did some hiking. Didn't see anything. And then like 3:00 in the afternoon, one of the trackers comes running in. He's like, Panda, Panda, Panda. And we have to go on this gnarly hike. I'm like pulling my mom up the rocks through the bamboo forest, like pushing her up to try and get her to where this guy is. Took us like 45 to an hour to get there.
Real quick, and then were you touching your butt?
I was.
Okay, just want to make sure. My gym school teacher did that.
And your uncle. And anyway, and then we get up this hill through the bamboo forest. I'm sweating, like huffing and puffing because you're not used to the altitude. And the red panda's like 200 feet away, and it's just sitting out on this branch, and it's eating peacefully, magnificently, totally unfold. And then it just sort of hit me, and it was like, oh my God, like this animal is so, like I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it. Look, my hair's standing up because I'm just like, this animal's so perfect and unique. It's its own, not just its own species, it's its own family. Like there's nothing related to it. Not pandas, not bears, not raccoons, nothing really. And you're just sitting there. This is one of 4,000 of them left in the wild, and it's chewing on bamboo, and it knows you're there. It's acknowledging you, but not altering its behavior because it doesn't feel affected by you. It's not like you're preying on it. And that's when it sort of hit me, and I was like, I wasn't emotional, but I was like, fuck yeah, like this is amazing. Like I'm sitting in the Himalayas, Everest in the backdrop, this arguably the most beautiful, adorable creature on the planet, like 300 feet away from me. And I'm like, all right, this is it. Now I get it. Like if you told me to do that same travel back again to find another one, I'm in. I was like,
nice.
Hooked at that point. Yeah.
I sort of feel like, because I was thinking about two different aspects of why the first one didn't impact you as much.
Tell me.
And at first I was like, okay, you're so used to doing like these arduous expeditions and long work to do it and trekking through and getting to a remote place. And so I was like, maybe it was just too easy, right? Or it was far, it was far away, but maybe it was too easy.
Exactly.
But then as I really think about the human brain, I also think the anxiety, stress from the travel and the not fully being disconnected from
my
life
phone and the real
as
world.
Someone who works and is a producer and all this shit. I sort of feel like that's probably the bigger part of it, is that like when you're still looking at your fucking phone and worrying about an email, it's like there's almost a maximum amount of joy or elation that you can possibly feel when emails and being connected and cell phones are a part of your life. It just sort of caps you at like a 6. I feel like.
That is such an eloquent way to put that, and I completely agree with you. And that's why Peter has so much stress all the time. I told him this before. It's because he needs to get away from the computer and the phone.
It's not true. It's I'm never stressed. I worked 12 hours today, and then I was just telling Kyle I need to have a cocktail because one cocktail is like 2 hours of relaxation. I can test you should have had several cocktails before you went out to find this animal. What was it again? A raccoon? You found?
Yep.
I didn't listen
Red
to
raccoon.
anything. No.
Yeah.
But I will say that anytime you travel, there's always like that like buzz of you like get there, you have to like calm down and be in it. That's why you can't go to a place for like 2 days and that's
totally
it.
agree.
Like you can never take anything in. You just won't remember anything,
Dude, it's almost a good point that maybe a little joy segment for our young brosteners who are all people who, want to see the world, travel, experience wildlife and nature. It's like there's almost no point in even taking a trip that's less than 2 weeks because let's call it 2 days.
I thought you were going to say 3 days. I thought you were going to say 3 days. You're like, 2 weeks.
Man,
it's got to be 2 weeks.
It's like 2 days on the front end to get out of your regular life and be like, I'm actually on vacation. And it's like 2 days on the back end because you've now been counting down how many days till, because about 3-4 days before you go home, you start going, oh my God, we only have 3 days left.
Yeah, the Sunday jitters, dude. You got it for days.
So you need like a solid 10 in the middle to like really settle in and be like, I got a lot out of that.
And to just experience wherever the hell you're at. I mean, you can't, like, he just went in, he found the red panda immediately, and he was like, this isn't that great. 2 days, or, a couple days later, you're like, this is fantastic. It all has to do with timing.
Timing and, like you said, disconnecting is a huge thing. I got to know the trackers. In fact, we started drinking with them and having a ton of fun. They make this disgusting fermented millet drink that we were hammering every night. And it takes 1.5 beers to get blacked out up there because of the altitude.
For a normal person or for you?
For me, not for a normal person.
He's a lightweight, so 3
Such a lightweight.
Yeah, minimum.
What do they make that out of? What do they make the millet out of? Is it out of animal parts or plant? Do you know?
No, so millet is a grain, right? And it's this fascinating cup. I don't think I have a picture of it. It's this big wooden mug, and they take this millet, which has been fermenting in a jar in the sun and smells like warmed up death, and they put it in the top part of this wooden jug, and they pour boiling water in, and it seeps through it like tea. And it's this very weak, awful, fermented wheat style hot beer. And And they were just all such sweet, there was 20 trackers, and I actually learned almost all of their names, and they're crazy names. And we were just like sitting around every evening. It was me. The only other Western people for like 300 miles were two guys from the BBC who are our age as well. So it was super fun. And they were there filming Red Pandas. So obviously we had a lot to talk about. So it was me, these two BBC guys, my elderly mother, and 20 native trackers. And we just sit around and drink the stuff. My mom would go to bed at like 8:39, and we'd sit up till like midnight drinking and having terrible, like broken English communication stories. And it was just super fun. And then I was able to unwind and get to know everybody and track. Yeah. Kyle we taught them, it's so funny, at the lodge. Kyle, pull up this video. They had Jenga, the game Jenga. And not one person knew how to play Jenga outside of me and the two British guys. Let's go, JB. Let's go, JB. Let's go. Oh, he's going to drink. Come on, he's going to drink. Oh, he's so going to drink. Come on, JB. Oh.
Everybody picks up on it.
So we're playing drinking Jenga the whole time, every night.
So much fun, dude. Honestly,
also you can tell Forrest is oblit.
Yeah. No, I
drinking warm beer.
That was the night before we left down that terrible road, and I had to pull over and boot like 3 times in front of my mother, who was like, "Are you okay? The food doesn't agree with you." I'm like, "Yeah, for sure."
Dude, like it definitely wasn't that millet cocktail.
Is there any way to get fucked up that's actually enjoyable? I mean, it's like you're guzzling down
all of them.
No. I mean, it's enjoyable when you're fucked up, but like railing some fucking coke, it doesn't feel good. I mean, you don't.
I know, never done it.
That's a damn lie, and I know.
I told you, Forrest. I told you about the ptarmigan schnapps, right, in Greenland.
Yes, you did. Yeah, it sounds disgusting.
Did I tell that story on the air?
I think you should tell it.
That's okay.
You told me
repeat a lot.
Yeah, so they take this little Arctic bird. It's like a little round bowling ball with a tiny head, and they take the crop in the neck, throat, and they ferment it underground for a long period of time, and then they make alcohol out of it, and then they flavor it with all sorts of like stuff that makes it taste good, actually.
Yeah.
And it tastes about as strong as just like it's not like fire in your throat, You don't think you're getting that fucked up, but there's unquestionably, undeniably some other poison that you feel like you have floated out of your sober body after 2 shots of this stuff, and it's bizarre. Like it's a cross between mushrooms and booze. It's wild.
That's like absinthe.
Yeah,
there's a different drunk, and it feels great, and it's very addictive. I've been doing it for 7 years every day.
Well, the amount of puke that happens.
You gotta stop admitting all of your shortcomings on air.
Look at me. This. I look like an insane, very pasty, pale, white lunatic. It's like a crackhead inside of a cave right now.
All right. Well, how about this?
But a heck of a good dad, though. A good dad.
What a faja.
Thank you.
I do have to say this. I was sitting there, Peter. We're sitting in this blind. It's freezing. Attaboy.
Oh, shit. I think he's dead. Hold on. I'll be back. Oh, no. Just kidding.
That's
not a funny joke, dude. You're crazy.
He's okay, right? This is a public one. Shit. I thought it was a Patreon. Now my mom and my wife are going to see that.
Well, dude, I got in so much trouble the other day. I'm literally sitting on the plane with my mom from Kathmandu into India, and she turns to me, pokes me in the shoulder, and she's like, "You just said you hate my dog." And I'm like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" And she's like, "I'm listening to your pod right now, and you said you hate my dog." And I'm like, "Why are you listening to my podcast?"
What episode was that?
I don't know. And I was like, "I didn't say that." She's like, "Listen." And I don't know what episode I said. I was like, "I'm not listening. It's a joke, Mom. The whole podcast is a joke. Your hamster's off."
Yeah.
Dude, I think she's like working her way through slowly. I think that's like episode 6.
I know. I think she just figured out what a podcast is. So now she's getting caught up.
Dude, I don't care anymore. Like I used to care and be like, I better watch what I say. And I'm just like, I don't fucking care. I just don't.
I mean,
amazing, though.
that is the Joe Rogan model, is it not? Like where you just say whatever you feel like, whatever you're thinking, and people are like, I can relate to that because I feel that way as well, and I'm not censoring myself all the time.
I legitimately can't listen to a podcast that's too like scripted. Sure, produce it, have segments, do things, but when it's like reading off of a piece of paper or like it's very specific, it doesn't matter what it is. I could be super interested about it. I feel like I'm in class or something, you know?
Agreed.
I have a hard time with the NPR podcast, and I want to listen to them. There's a lot of really interesting ones on like mushrooms and foraging and like all these wildlife stories, but it's that monotone, like clearly they're reading off of like a temp. I have such a hard time with them. Yeah.
And then they'll have some like dingle ding ding ding. Go to our sponsor's website and you'll find it's
very relaxing to hear the voice.
It's like being read to at a library or something.
It works a little bit in like with crime, like murder stories.
Sure.
Like if it's written well and they get you and they hook you in and the end of you're like, oh, another question, damn it. Yeah, it's only the true crime.
It's all the music on the true crime podcast, though, dude. Just those scary drones. The scary drone, there doesn't even need to be a story. You'll be shitting your pants. It could just be the scary drone. Like,
True.
It doesn't matter what it is.
Peter, you once suggested a type of music to me to work in the background. And for about 6 weeks, I had it on every day. And then I totally forgot what it was called and never found it again.
Lo-fi. Yeah, lo-fi. So I suggested you listen to, there's something called Lo-Fi Girl on YouTube. And it actually turned out we all, like Pat listened to that. Everybody who was listening to it independently of one another. And yeah, it's called lo-fi. I never heard of this genre of music, but if you look up lo-fi hip-hop or lo-fi, Kyle says in the chat, Ready Frost. I think that means Ready Forrest.
Nope. He said Forrest. You're just too drunk to read words.
Not only did he write Forrest, he spelled it correctly.
Why did you say it twice? I was confused.
You're always confused. Here's why, because I was setting up for this.
Lo-fi hip-hop.
Kyle, pull it up.
Sorry.
Pull it up.
Go ahead.
Pull it up. Here's why. Look at this
marmot
animal. What do you think of that, Peter?
Marmaduke? I think it's beautiful.
Kyle. These are. Oh, that's my mom and I. Not that.
Wait, go back.
Sure, you could go to that.
Ugh, where'd you find that?
That's my mom and I with the Everest in the background.
That's actually beautiful.
It's so cold, and I left my sweatshirt on the plane, so I'm wearing 9 t-shirts under my jacket.
And it left your sweatshirt ridiculous. That's a move straight out of my playbook. Leaving the sweatshirt. I know.
I've never done it before, ever. And
I also
just
look
had,
how
like,
put together your mom is. Hair done. Makeup perfect.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Beautiful shot.
And look at your makeup too, Forrest. Wonderful.
Okay, what do we have here? Is this some sort of marmot?
This thing is beautiful, by the way, and I'm not joking about this one. This thing is incredible.
I agree.
A great shot, by the way.
Thank you very much. They're very cute. They are ferocious. So that adorable little critter that you're looking at is a yellow-throated marten, and they're one of the main predators of the red panda. And they're about this big. It's a ferret. It's about this big.
It's a ferret for sure.
The locals, I mean, they're not scared of them, but they're like, oh, no, don't corner one. Like, if you get one in your kitchen, turn and run. Like, apparently these things are, and I've said this before, I've said this on the pod so many times, mustelids, weasel family, don't fuck with them. They're, if they got 200 pounds, it would take over the planet, zero question. And those things, those adorable little martens, they are pack animals. They group up in a pack, and they'll climb up the trees like a fucking rabid pack of squirrels and rip a panda to pieces.
It's terrifying. Terrifying.
And look at it. Like, look at it. You look at that, and you're like, I just want to kiss it right on the lips. That's all I want to do is kiss it on the mouth. And they're just these crazy, violent. The guy there, Shantanu, who's like the main researcher guy that I was telling you about, he was telling me the most horrific wildlife thing he's ever seen. And this is a guy who's been to the Masai Mara and filmed the migration. He's seen tigers kill deer, you name it. Like, he's a big wildlife guy, big photographer. So the most horrific thing he's ever seen, he came around the corner one day, and there was a marten, there was a little barking deer. Remember those muntjacks? We've seen them, Patrick, a couple places, little tiny barking deer. And all of a sudden, the single marten comes galloping out, leaps on top of it, and pins it to the ground. and doesn't bite it on the throat or kill it. It just starts eating it from the backside forward while holding it down. And he's like, this little deer is like screaming, like, rah, 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 like barking. And this Marten's just pinning it to the ground and eating it, like without killing it. He's like, they are the worst animals. They're so violent.
I mean, for people who are listening, it literally looks like a ferret with a really beautiful coloration, like a yellow throat, but much cuter than any ferret I've ever seen. It looks adorable.
Isn't that insane? Yeah.
It's crazy. I mean, that's probably, I guarantee you that's where on the Big Lebowski, they were like, let's use a marmot to throw it in the bathtub and attack his wing. Like, cause that's the scariest thing, a marmot in the water, dude.
Wait, so I know we have talked about it, but mustelids, the reason they're so, you don't want to handle one is because what? Because of the way they're able to turn quickly?
There's every animal in the world that I can think of, you can hold it in a way, even a cat, you name it, that it cannot get you, right? You can't claw you, it can't bite you. It doesn't matter if it's a 15-foot crocodile, it doesn't matter if it's a cobra, whatever, a lion. There's always a gorilla. There's always a way.
Wait a minute, a gorilla and a lion?
I mean,
no way.
Not a live, like awake gorilla or lion, but they have like a weak spot. I don't know how to put
gotcha,
it.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, even a croc, even a Nile
tendon.
croc, you can hold
anything,
it.
an Achilles tendon, if you will, that you can hold them. You know, I'm not saying you can outpower a gorilla. I'm just saying, you know, there's a spot, like if you were behind it, you could put a gorilla in a headlock. If you were strong enough, it couldn't do anything, okay?
Okay.
The mustelid has such a flexible spine that there is not a single weak spot on the animal. You can't hold it anywhere. You can't pin it. You can't grab it by the face or by the head or by the tail. Nothing. There's no way in which a single mustelid can like be contained. I don't know how else to put that.
Safely.
And it's
safely. The thing is you're talking
safely.
About not killing it.
Of course, if you shoot anything in the head, it's pretty safe.
Not even
right?
shoot it. I could take it out. I could take it out
with a cinder block.
Well, if there was one available, I would. Listen, I don't like to kill animals, but I'm saying
you travel with one. Don't you? Last time we took a trip together, you just brought a cinder block and you stuffed your socks into one hole and your underpants into another one.
I was upset because when I threw my luggage onto the scale, it was like 80 pounds because I had 3 cinder blocks in there.
Yeah,
like, and all you packed was a pair of socks. That's
Oh, just that and his gun.
Cubby holes. Yeah. But listen, I could kill one of these mustelids, right, with my bare hands.
I think if it was a battle till death. Wait, if it was a fight till death between him and a golden-throated marmot, who would win? Fight till death, because this thing's biting him.
A baseball bat or a rock, he could win for sure. If it was literally just Peter versus singular yellow-throated Marten, the Marten will win. Both naked.
Oh, nude really does add a fearsome element to it. That would be
swear
tough.
to God, and that's what I'm saying. Like if you're fighting like a small cat, a small crocodile, a snake to death, you will win with any of those. Snake, you pick it up, bop it on the head, right?
Crocodile, I'm not going to win.
Any of it, you will win. What? You will not beat that yellow-throated. I swear to God, that thing would crawl all over you. It would rip little pieces out of you. You would be done. There's nothing to
bleed out.
And they travel in packs, so I mean,
you'd bleed out like a roasted tomato that got poked.
Listen,
I love it so much.
Any other color
I've made
than
it
very
my
pale.
background on my phone, so that I don't have to hear that
dope.
AirPod thing. Yeah,
beautiful picture.
Yeah, by the time you get home, switch that back to your kid. But it is a cool photo.
Yeah.
Can I ask a quick question about the raccoon we looked at earlier? The red panda.
Yes.
Wait. So are they? There's only 4,000 of them left.
Yeah.
So they were at a larger population before, and they are now going extinct or endangered. Do they know what happened to them?
Habitat
these
loss,
fucking
man.
mustelades? Okay.
It's just, no, that's a good guess. Is it these muscle aids that they're taking? No, it's all habitat loss. So you have this this is what's so crazy, man, is you're up there, you're in the Himalayas, the high mountain Nepalese, like crazy habitat that you really wouldn't want to live in. It's cold, it's windy, it's wet, it's icy, and there are villages everywhere. And it's not like Nepal doesn't feel like India where I am now, which really does feel like there's too many people, right? It doesn't feel that way. Like you go big swaths of land with nobody, but you have so many people covering over this area where the red pandas are, and they're farming cattle, they're clearing it for agriculture, they're building houses. And so the red panda is not an animal that is, they eat very specific fruits and leaves and very specific type of bamboo. And you chop that down and they got nothing left. So you look out and you're like, oh my God, there's all this rainforest and it's immaculate, but most of it is secondary because a lot of the stuff has been cut down or harvested or whatever. And then they can only really survive in this primary, untouched area. And that's getting pretty small. So it definitely seems like it's bouncing back. It's going in the other direction. Guys like Shantanu, who I mentioned, are doing a phenomenal job at protecting it. It's actually interesting. I've been really eye-opened in this part of the world, in this northeastern India, Nepal area. It's like everything got pushed way too far, and they're doing a good job pulling it back right now, and it's really good to see. But anyway, yeah, it's just habitat loss is the short answer, Peter.
Interesting. Yeah, it's a bummer. Oh, man, cattle farming. Shit. It makes me feel bad because I love beef and I eat it, but
it's the best food, period.
Real quickly here, just a quick divergence, and then I want to hear about what's going on with the tiger hunt, because I know you're going out to look for tigers soon.
Yep.
But I do have a quick animal mystery I wanted to squeeze in this week.
Oh, I like that. Animal mystery.
Dun, 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 boom, boom, boom. Kyle, get ready for the pick. So I sent Kyle this earlier, privately. So,
along with nudes.
Let's say I did. Well, yeah, obviously.
It's just a pic of a pet stick.
All right.
Awful.
So, in Cornwall, England, an unusual object ended up floating up to the beach. A beach called Marazion Beach.
Of course.
A woman was walking her dog. She sees this object. That's where the mystery ends. And I want to ask the two of you, the layperson and the biologist, what could this be? I mean, they're describing it as alien sacks.
Alien sacks.
Cornwall, England.
This looks like some type of coral reef or something.
No, that's...
Or maybe a Thanksgiving gourd.
What's this fucking...
It does look like an awful deflated Thanksgiving.
Well, the dog was with the lady, and she's the one who discovered it, so she gets the photo cred. Come on, boy.
Okay. So before I saw the picture, I was thinking, Kyle, pull this up. Lizzie Daly has an incredible photo, if you can't find it. I don't know the species. There is a giant jellyfish off Cornwall, England. And before I saw the white glob, I was thinking that's what it is. But I haven't seen them in a long time. So maybe just, yeah. Let's go images. Yeah, that first photo is Lizzie's photo. She's a good friend. We should have her on the pod. Look at that thing. Yeah.
Dude, jellyfish, that's like a whole constant, that's a universe inside of a creature.
Look at that.
Dude, our entire solar system's probably on the end of one of those tentacles on another planet.
I swear to God, it is. Crazy.
So that's what I was thinking, globular, but that doesn't go back to the other photo, Kyle? Nope, that's not lining up, is it?
Maybe dried up, I guess. I don't know.
The color's wrong, though. You're going from opaque. Yeah, go ahead.
I got it. I'm sorry, I got it.
Spilled paint.
I don't mean to interrupt. This is the semen of some type of whale. Yeah, whale. I'm going to go whale semen. Final answer.
I am going to go Wally the walrus. He was heavily featured on this pod. Was murdered. We actually know that. And those are his intestines that have washed up on the beach in Cornwall.
Oh my goodness.
It looks like intestines to me.
So let me tell you. So it is actually a bit of a mystery because I think as of today, so this happened about a week ago. They haven't definitively answered it yet. But the theory is that it is the stomach of a whale of some kind. They don't know what kind of whale. But here's where the mystery comes in. So they think that could be the stomach of a whale. The theory is that the whale maybe died and for some period of time was floating on the surface, which I'm not sure how that could have happened.
I can explain that.
Okay, so they do float for a bit?
So if a whale dies and it's unpunctured, unruptured, first of all, the blubber allows them to float, but then as they sit in the sun and they bake and they rot, the air expands within them. And so as long as their gut cavity isn't punctured, it actually makes them like a balloon, basically, and they'll stay on the surface. But usually a shark comes along or something like that and bites it and deflates it, and then they sink down to the bottom. Yeah.
Interesting.
So the picture was captured. The tide came in before anyone came to study it, and so it washed away, so they weren't able to find it to study it. But the theory is that it's the stomach of a whale, but the reason it's mysterioso is that typically when a whale floats ashore like that, or is floating on the surface, so part of the theory is that seabirds came in, perched on it, started tearing at the flesh, whatever, maybe we're able to somehow open it up enough. But I found this to be interesting. When a whale or something is floating on the surface, the seabirds almost exclusively, I have no idea why, focus on the genital area and rarely tear at the stomach.
They're not the only animal, too. It's fascinating.
But it's interesting that seabirds, finding a little free snack, eat the genitals of whatever is floating. Like, how do they even know? Why do they do
I'm guessing there's a couple factors there. I'm guessing one is the high mineral content, right? Because if you're getting a nutsack or something like that, you're getting a lot of nutrients.
And delicious.
Of course, real creamy.
Let me pause. That's disgusting. Let me ask a question real quick. How do they know that it has high minerals? It's not like they don't know. Well, they're not smart enough to like.
Peter, this is incredibly well known. Oh, you're saying how do the birds know? I'm sorry. They've read the literature, Peter.
That's what I'm saying.
They know that
they are pretty smart.
Testicles
birds.
are where the pee-pee gets held.
That's right.
No, this is a serious
the urine
question.
is held in the balls.
This is a serious question, though. So how, like, I know evolutionarily speaking, animals can figure out without intelligently, consciously knowing how to do things over time. But, like, why would they know to go and get more minerals? Is it because they survive more often if they eat the genitals or what?
Yes. It's not like a human being, which is going, oh, I need to eat liver or kidney or whatever because I need iron and I need that. It's more like hungry. This is best food. You know what I mean? It's like an instinctual. Right. I don't think it's the most satiating. I think it's like you having a craving for peanut butter, and they're like, I gotta get me some nuts.
Interesting.
You know,
dude, cravings are weird as fuck. That's true.
And I think that's basic. I don't know. I mean, I'd have to try and talk to a seagull.
No, that's true. It makes sense though. But when you say cravings, and then I think about like, oh yeah, like I've had a craving. I know exactly what that means. You know?
Right, and nothing will satiate
it.
Yeah, that's a craving for dick. Yeah, and nothing will satiate it until you get that. You know what I mean?
Until you get that.
And I think that's sort of what happens here.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool though. I think if I was that lady, I walked upon that, I would have taken the photo, probably brought it into Facetune, altered it a bit, and sent it to some alien conspiracy Reddit. Is what I would.
and then I would be the one bringing it up on the podcast.
That's right.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's right. We go full circle. Yeah.
That's
all right.
wild, though.
So Forrest, tell us next phase of the trip. Also, you didn't even mention that you were going to Nepal. So when you texted me from Nepal, I was like, didn't mention that. Shows how much guys talk to each other.
Yeah.
What's the next phase? You're going to see some tigers?
Yeah, so that was in Singalila. That was the name of the national park in Nepal. I'm now in Assam, in India, in northwest India at, Jesus, all these names are escaping me today. Another national
there's
park.
A lot.
It's a lot. Yeah, I'm at another national park. And so we've done, my mom, it's where I get it from, right? We do this like bucket list of things you have to see. So on the list was Red Panda. On my mom's list was Indian one-horned rhino, which is where we are now at, Jesus, how am I blanking on this? Doesn't matter.
That's where you sent some of the rhino pics, right? I saw a couple of the rhino pics.
I'll send some to Kyle right now. I got a couple. There's a couple of great ones on my Instagram as well of a couple buddies.
Oh my goodness!
As if Kyle wasn't ready.
By the way,
our 17-year-old producer Kyle.
I thought he was 21.
No, he sent me a copy of his birth certificate just now. He's 17.
Just now,
dude. Look at these. Are these Indian rhinos smaller than African rhinos? They sure look like it.
A little bit. I wouldn't say they're substantially smaller. But they definitely seem a little bit smaller. But they're much more alien, like with their armoring. They're like
the
tank.
armoring. You sent me a picture of this, and I just texted back, well, that's definitely what I'm using in the next battle royale. Doesn't matter what it is. I mean, like, look at this thing. You could probably shoot a 50 caliber round at it, and it wouldn't go through to the lungs. It's got fucking.
Dude, is this rhino like simpatico with this with this water buffalo?
Dude, so this was so cool. So Kaziringa is where we are now. The goal, it'd be great to see a tiger. There are a couple here, but rhino was the goal. Also, not a lot of them left. About 20,000 total, but that's way better than it was 10 years ago. Anyway, came here to look for rhino, found him immediately. It's incredible. By the way, anybody that wants an unbelievable wildlife experience, Kaziringa National Park in India, unbelievable. Saw 4 of the big 5, Indian big 5, in the first hour of going into the park. I mean, it's just unbelievable.
What are the big 5? What'd you see?
The Indian big 5 are water buffalo, rhino, elephant, swamp deer, and tiger. And so we've seen the 4, but not the tiger yet. And it's just, it's interesting because I never really thought there were places like Southern Africa, where I grew up, where you look out over a valley and you see 500 to 1,000 animals. And that's here. Like you'll go up over a ridge and look out and there's 70 rhino, there's a herd of elephant, there's 1,000 hog deer, there's a couple hundred swamp deer, there's all these macaques, and there's wild boar, and it's just absolutely incredible. So we came here for that. We've seen tiger tracks. We've been getting the rhino. I just texted Kyle a couple pics. And then literally day 1, afternoon 1, where I'm sitting there, I'm photographing that big bull rhino with that really impressive horn. By the way, unicornus is the Latin name. It is the only real unicorn in the world, which is incredible. And sure enough, this brazen water buffalo comes charging out of the bushes, walks right at the rhino. And there's one of those pictures where they kind of look like they're nuzzling each other, like they're nosing at each other. They're not really. The rhino was actually getting a little bit annoyed by him right there. Like if you zoom in, Kyle, they looked like they're giving each other a nice kiss, right? Like, hi, buddy.
It looks like they're a couple.
Totally.
That's
totally.
Crazy, man. That is
And they're
crazy.
not. The rhino is actually getting a little agitated, and the buffalo is sort of putting his head down, like, come at me, boy. And yeah, I just got this sequence of shots, and even our guide was like, "That's very rare. That's very rare. Like you never see that." And it was just really cool to have these two together.
What do you think what was the water buffalo doing? Just territorial?
I think he was just cruising through. They're pretty transient, and he was just like, "Yep, this is the way I'm going, and I'm not scared of you." And there is a very much more so than in Africa, I think, there's a very fuck you attitude from the animals here that I really resonate with. It's just fantastic. And
So
they're
does
just
Peter.
like, yeah, he does. But they're just like, it's really interesting because I think it's one of the reasons that led to the demise of the rhino here. White rhino, black rhino in Africa, they're scary, whatever, but they're skittish, and they'll charge you if they're terrified. But if you're trampling through the bush, they're taking off. These guys are sort of just sitting there looking at you like, like, come on over, like I would love to see you come on over. And everything, the water buffalo, the rhino, the elephant, they all sort of seem to have that nice attitude here. And they're kind of just standing off with each other. So I think that's what happened there with those two. And it's just fantastic, man. We saw Ganges river dolphin, a bunch of turtle species, which I love. The buffalo is incredibly rare sighting. I saw a leopard cat. I even got a photo of it. It's just been, thanks, Kyle. There's my leopard cat photo.
Is that your pick?
Oh, that's crazy.
That's my pick, yeah.
Yeah, nice camera work. Soft focus,
thanks,
but still
dude.
nice.
I'll take it.
No, it's beautiful.
It's hard. It's hard, man.
Who wins water buffalo versus rhino?
Rhino for sure, no question.
Yeah,
they're
why?
Stronger. They got all that armor. They're lower to the ground.
So I want to ask you this
horns.
because you have lulled me into total complacency many, many times on foot, on kayak, on paddleboard, around water buffaloes, especially in Vietnam. I remember
this is true.
They're just everywhere.
Right.
And you're like, yeah, don't worry. And sure, of course, they're not a predator, but if they're territorial, whatever, they're willing to go nose to nose with a rhino. But there's something interesting about the way their horns kind of go straight up and then hook in to the sharp point. How do they use that? Like, do they swing from the side?
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Those horns almost look ineffective.
Down.
Okay.
No, not at all. And I think the reason I've always sort of lulled you into complacency with them is because most of the time we've been around very habituated ones or semi-domesticated ones because they are a domesticated animal, water buffalo, throughout most of Asia. These ones are not. These are wild water buffalo. And our guide is even like, they'll charge the car. Like they're can be pretty nasty. So there's obviously something about, a couple generations of domesticating them that changes that temperament, unlike certain creatures. But no, they put their head down. They've got these big curved horns, and they sort of tilt and turn. And the horns that's the wrong kind of buffalo, you doofus.
Was that the one from Vietnam?
Type
Kyle's
in
only
Asian water
16.
buffalo. That's true. Yeah.
Don't.
For a 14-year-old, he's really getting it.
He's going to be down to 7 by the end of this.
There you go. That's a good one, Kyle. Thank you. So they, there's a pretty good spread.
Swinging.
And keep in mind, while the horns are used for fighting and for territorial displays and whatnot, it's really more of a sexual selection thing, right? It's like, who's got the big horns? Who am I going to mate with? Oh, that guy, that gal. And that's really what they're used for more than anything.
Rhinos use them for defense, of course, but all similar, where the longer and the bigger the horn, the better the chance of mating. Which, again,
I remember
think
in high
about
school,
if that was humans.
I remember being
dick
in
was right
in
on
high
your
school.
forehead, boy.
Yeah, I was always saying that. I'd be like, imagine if your dick was on your forehead and you just picked who you liked. I even wrote that in a paper once that didn't do very well.
Well, here's the thing: you would be in a lot more dick jousts if that was the case. Even if you're, like if it was just overtly your dick size on your head, you would be angry all the time if you had a small dick. You would be picking fights constantly.
Or anything but the largest one. It doesn't matter. Anything but the top 2%.
Whatever human said,
furious.
okay, men, you're going to wear pants, was a genius.
See, that's why I like how bighorn sheep, like bighorn sheep, right? Like they fight every year for mating rights, every breeding season.
Yep.
But it's not simply the size of the horns. They fight it out. And so if you're a small and nasty boy, you can win. You can do it, right? You can
really
overcome
relates
it.
to this. Yeah.
Of course.
But I think, I think there's
sharp tongue.
Let's bring this back to forehead cocks here. All right, let's bring this back to forehead cocks here for a second.
All right.
I think the question is, it's like a varying scale, right? So let's say we all have our dicks on our foreheads. You go to the bar, inevitably you don't have the biggest cock forehead.
And
so you see the guy
so
who
none
does.
of us went to the bar.
Right.
We stayed in and played video games.
we all
And
stayed
died.
in. So you see the guy who does have the biggest dick forehead, and you're like, "Fuck that guy! I hate that guy." Just on principle, right?
Had a few cocktails.
100%.
Order a whole bottle of Merlot and bash it over his head. Yeah.
Exactly. Now the question is, who wins? Like if you're the girl, and of course females in this hypothetical don't have dick foreheads or anything reminiscent of that, and you're looking at all these guys in the bar, you're weighing your options. You're going, who do I want to reproduce with? Is it the guy with the biggest dick forehead, who's obviously the good choice, or the Patrick character over here who's got a micro peenie on his forehead, but he's going to whip the shit out of big guy in the corner over there? It's a varying scale, and I don't think the only guy who's really losing is the tiny forehead dick guy who's not socializing, who's in the corner and won't pick a fight. Like he's the guy losing every time.
He's just hanging out with his guy buddies in the corner at the table. They're having a guy's night.
Yeah. And they're all together and they're not socializing and they're
every
just sitting
weekend
in the corner. Yeah.
That's why
Do we wear
you
beanies
find
in this situation? I'm curious.
yes.
If
100%.
Beanies were invented before pants in this situation.
Yeah.
But is that the case?
Yeah.
If humans evolve,
but you do see,
penises, is it pure beanies?
I've spent time on safari in Africa, and you do see that oftentimes the male rhinos with the smaller horns have the nicest accessories to sort of show off their wealth and
I mean, you're definitely trying to talk yourself up in this analogy.
But
that's
why I have nice shoes.
They have Ferraris.
I will say this though: the thing is that
they have pools.
Humans have evolved enough. I think the females have evolved enough to understand that it's not the Pat with the biggest dick.
I totally disagree with you.
Who gets by? They're not looking for the biggest dick.
No way,
because
dude.
they just be going right down your pants immediately.
No way, bro.
They're looking for other
the
accessories, as Pat said.
The dick has just changed. It's not actually about this. This podcast getting way off the rails. We're sticking to it.
This is perfect.
We're burying our heels in here. Yeah. It's not about
you're in India.
The dick, Peter. The dick has changed. That's what you're not getting. It's not the dick is no longer your actual ability to sexually reproduce because everybody can reproduce now because of modern medicine. Instead,
it's terrible.
Your dick is what kind of life can you provide for your mate? It might be money. It might be happiness. It might be.
But wasn't that what the dick originally? But isn't that what the dick originally is in the animals?
Like that's what he's saying. Is that in the rhinos, it's simply, can you reproduce? Yes or no, and are you strong? Will you produce a good offspring, a big strong offspring with a big horn?
Is the question, if humans evolved with the dick on the forehead, would it not matter as much? He's saying in reality, in
2022, it has changed because what helps you produce good offspring has changed.
Right. That's what I said. Yeah.
Right. So apes, as apes were beginning to evolve into humans, still size and physical strength and ability to provide.
He read one book, The Naked Ape, and thinks he knows everything about how humans evolved.
You are. How many have you had?
I've had 2 very stiff cocktails.
How many horntails have you had?
Pat, the more you talk, the more everybody just wonders why you're defending the small dick species.
It doesn't matter.
Peter,
I'm in my 40s. The time that I cared about that was 2 years ago.
Now he's getting violently defensive.
2 years ago.
2 years. 2 full years. Pre-marriage, pre-baby.
Peter, you just want to keep saying the word dick, which is why you keep doing this.
It's not true.
But the point is...
It's not true. I've always been proud of my average-sized penis. I'm sorry, Mom. I'm sorry.
No one believes that. Yeah, I'm sorry to Forrest's mom, because in 6.5 years, she'll get to this podcast and poke Forrest in the shoulder on the way to Antarctica.
And she'll know that his podcast co-host, Retep, has an average 5.75-inch penile.
Well, with your gut, it only appears to be 2.
Listen, that's how I control the length, is by my gut.
Forrest, so back on tracks. So you've seen tiger tracks. I gotta say, did you get any pictures of the tiger tracks?
I did. They're on my camera still. Let me see if I got one. I might have.
So what's the next step?
So we're here in Kazaringa now, and the point was rhino. Once we're done here, if we see a tiger, great, because there are tiger here. But once we're done here, we're going to Shambhala to look for gharial, which is number 1 on my bucket list probably ever.
What's that?
And if you don't know what a gharial is,
I've seen them.
I know you have. Gharial. Before we pull it up, Peter, what do you think it is?
Well, I'm thinking immediately, I'm thinking like a version of Garfield, but more fit. Same stripes, same orange color.
Same diet, mostly lasagna.
Definitely cat.
Yeah.
A
lasagna-loving kitty of sorts.
Well, now you're going a little out there, mate. I'm just saying.
Right now, Kyle, behind the scenes, he's typing so fast trying to figure out how to spell gharial that his keyboard's not smoking.
Spot on. Look at this. It's a perfect gharial.
Yeah, it's a lasagna-eating orange-striped cat.
Wow, look at the eyes on that thing. Blue.
Isn't it a crazy animal? So the name gharial comes from a type. Oh, crazy. Kyle, go to under the main photo, 2 over. Under the main
For those listening, it is not a cat. It is some type of crocodilian.
Yeah, that's the guy. Yep. Click that one. So the name gharial comes from this bulbous thing the males get on the end of their snout. A gharial is a type of Indian pot that they use to cook their breads, I believe. And so it looks like that pot on their snout. Anyway, we go from here to Shambhala to see gharial. Hopefully we'll succeed. I'm desperate to see one, play with one. I'm sure I'm not going to get to play with one, but I'm going to try. And then
you see those teeth? Not a good idea, mate.
That's why I want to. And then from there, we go to a place called Nagara Hole, which, Kyle, you can pull up if you'd like as well. And by the time we do this next pod, I'll be able to check in on those 2. But the object in Nagara Hole, one is it's one of the only places in the world that has resident black panthers, black leopards. So hoping to see one of those. And 2, the tiger sightings they're certainly not guaranteed, but they're very, very high. So that's really the...
Gotcha. That was the one we talked about before, right? That's where it's a very high density of tigers.
Exactly. Each spot has its own sort of target creature. And while we can see anything anywhere, the objectives are, panda, rhino, gharial, tiger in the relative locations.
Have you had any good Indian food yet? Have you had like a really fine, like a nice meal of Indian food or street food?
Can I tell you what the best thing about Indian food is?
Yes.
Besides the deliciousness, sure.
It is. The second part of that is when you're walking down the street and you sneeze or cough, you're not sure if you're going to shit your pants the entire time you're in India. it's just like anything. You like hit a speed bump. You're like, oh, there it is. Hold on. Okay, I'm good. By
the way, it's the same if you order it, so it doesn't. You don't have to be in India for that experience.
That's true. I've had some very good food. It's a lot, as you know. I mean, it's like what you have at home, right? There's a lot of diversity within India itself, but just so much spices and flavors and crazy smells. And they do a phenomenal job of making vegetables not taste like vegetables, which is probably my favorite part of Indian food. And yeah, it's great going in. It is not great coming out.
What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do what's the first thing you're gonna do when you get back to the States? It's coming, man.
Actually, I have a
Sunday night chills. The anxiety.
I have a haircut booked. Yeah, my hair's getting very long. I don't have anything good. I'm not like desperate for a burger or like, oh, I can't wait to get home and sleep in my bed. It's not like that. I'm on a pretty comfy trip.
Doesn't want to see
mom.
his kid. Doesn't care about his wife. I get it.
Haircut.
Do you know what the number one restaurant in India is?
I do not. Pizza Hut.
Do you know? Awfully close.
Taco Bell.
It's Domino's.
Domino's. Yeah, I see a lot.
Yeah.
Very close.
Yeah, so they serve like their pizzas are like Indian food infused. So like you get like the thin crust pizza with like tikka masala on it, stuff like that. And Domino's as a multinational corporation got a new CEO like 5-6 years ago, and we're targeting India because they got the mobile app down. Right.
Right.
They fucking were like one of the first to market with like a perfectly functioning mobile app. And India has over 1 million people turn 18 every month.
Wow.
That is wild.
And so they were like, young people order food on their phones. We're going to target India. And they just made a huge push to open tons of Domino's franchises in India. Brilliant. And became the number one restaurant in India. So I'd like you, Forrest, to order a Domino's pizza while you're there, take a picture of it, document the experience. I'm a Domino's shareholder. I'd like to know about it, how it's going.
Are you actually a Domino's shareholder? I know you love Domino's pizza.
I saw that. I was in a phase where I was watching CNBC on while I would work. I'd just have it on. And I saw the CEO interviewed like maybe, it was like right before, it was like as they were rolling this shit out. And I was like, that sounds really smart. And so I just bought some shares of Domino's stock.
Nice.
And it's up like 350% since I bought it. It's been great.
How much did you buy? How many shares?
Not that many, probably like 20.
Why didn't you tell me? Fuck you. All right, go on.
That's why he wants to know. He wants you to share your shares. How often, and this is the worst part about having like Robinhood or those apps, do you just impulse buy a stock? I do it all the time.
Do you really? No, I stopped doing that a while ago. I mostly let someone else do it, and so I have to like really believe in something to like call him.
All his impulse gambling goes to DraftKings. Yeah,
DraftKings. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. No, I will like the other day, like 3 or 4 nights ago, I was lying in bed and I read, Tesla at a 52-week low. Literally, without even looking at the price of it, I put $200 in Tesla stock. First time ever. I was just like, need it. And then I was like, why did I do that? It might just keep going down. Like, why did I do like 2 minutes went by and I was like, that was not the right way to do that.
It depresses me if I read too much.
I subscribe to, so I listened to an audiobook. This is for the young brosteners. I listened to an audiobook by Jim Cramer, the guy who does Mad Money on CNBC.
Yeah.
And he had a good piece of advice. He said, if you're trading for yourself, you should only own 5 stocks at most. And you should only own those 5 stocks if you can spend 1 hour per week reading about each stock. So he said, if you want to trade for yourself, you need to have 5 hours a week to read about your stocks, and you need to spend an hour on each and don't own more than 5. And I was like, that's crazy. That's boring. I'm out.
Right.
And so I just let someone else do it who does all that stuff. And you pay them like 1% a year to do it. And it ends up being way better than our crazy impulse buys or our common sense buys of, I use an Apple laptop and an iPhone. I'm just going to put everything in Apple. Or I order my Christmas presents on Amazon. Right, exactly. So, but I will say this. Peter, back when I was trading for myself, told me to buy a stock called Shopify.
I did.
I didn't do it because I didn't think he knew what he was talking about. He was probably drunk because it was very late.
No, it wasn't. We were on a beach bike ride down in South Bay. Yep.
That's when you made fun of my sweatpants.
It's the same day.
It's gone up like 1,000% since, and I didn't take advantage. And I think of it every time I see Shopify stock quote. I'm like, should have listened to Retep. He knows online marketing and fuck.
He does. It's true.
Yeah.
That's why
I
we're
didn't buy
so
it either, mate. Don't feel
famous
bad.
the world over. All right,
Yeah.
guys. Well, it is.
Wait,
it is
Forrest,
7 minutes.
bye-bye.
Yeah.
I'm going to let you go. But
Okay.
what are you doing today? Because it's 11 a.m. there, right?
It's nearly 1. I'm going to grab a quick bite of lunch, and at 1:30, we're heading back into the park for our last afternoon of tracking rhino, which I'm hoping to get some more shots.
Beautiful.
I'm really enjoying this photography thing. I might never give JQ his camera back, or I might just go get my own camera. I've never
That
owned a
camera
real camera.
literally just takes good pictures without any effort, doesn't it?
Yep, that's
With
how
the
cameras
lens.
work. Yep,
With the
that's how
lens.
cameras work.
With
So
the lens, I saw that lens. I saw you with that lens and that camera. Very little work goes into making a camera with that lens fucking take a good picture.
I will
I mean,
say
you're not
this,
wrong.
Forrest.
Look at him.
Check out, and I'll take you. Let's make plans to go this year to the Natural History Museum in LA every year hosts the Wildlife Photography of the Year exhibit, and it's
Yeah.
awesome. So they take
You
the
mentioned
photos,
that.
they put them on this light box so that it's lit from behind in a pitch black room otherwise, and they're stunning. And you go and it tells you the lens, the camera, and you just
Interesting.
look at how a little blurb about how they took it. And it's really makes you want to just like quit everything you're doing and fucking just become a wildlife photographer.
What?
How are
I'm
you
sorry.
snoozing
I
on
fell
that? That's
asleep.
like the coolest thing ever. Like I couldn't
I fell
imagine a
asleep.
better day than a man date with Pat looking at pretty wildlife.
I fell asleep, and so did all of our listeners. However, we didn't do a
Let's do
battle
it.
royale. That's
okay.
unfortunate. Okay.
I gotta go.
If you,
Next
if
time,
you
I'll
hate,
set
here's
it
what
up right
happened.
now.
Peter,
If you
Peter
hate-
got drunk and
if you
nasty.
hate the battle, I didn't get nasty. I love all
Yeah,
of your
you-
ideas.
Well,
Nah,
you just
you get, you're,
lampoon-
you're being
You
oversensitive.
say yes and.
What does that
Yes
mean?
and. You go.
Yes and what?
Exactly.
What?
I'm out.
I literally let you speak. I said
Peter,
yes
do
and
the
what?
thing.
You
Do the thing.
snored
Do the
through
thing.
it.
Nobody listens. This is where everybody signs off.
Yeah,
do
that
the
was
thing.
nonsense.
Yep.
Nobody does that. Go to thewildtimes.com.
It's my
No,
last
that's not
podcast.
true. Go to what? What? Quiet.
It's my last one.
wildtimes.club/info for all the links to everything at Wild Times Pod on all the socials to find us. Go to Spotify, find all of our podcasts there. You can sign up and get all of the premium pods there now. I'll kill you. I'm trying to make us
did it
fucking
to
money,
me. You
and
did it to me
you're eye
first.
rolling. No, this is about business. Your
Nobody
bullshit was
listens
about
through
some
this part.
fucking
We could have
nonsense.
stopped recording like 3
Well, they're
minutes
missing
ago.
out then because there's a big
Nope.
argument going on
I'm,
right now.
I'm excited for us to go to the thing with you, the museum. We'll have a
I
fun
can't
day. We'll
wait.
get coffee
And we're-
before.
kiss.
We're not
and
going to
hug.
invite Peter.
Take pictures.
We're
I don't
gonna-
want
let's
to
get coffees.
It's not. It won't be the
Maybe
first
some
time
lun-
you're
a light
listening to some of your
lunch.
bullshit
Yeah.
nonsense garbage. All right,
Maybe a
so
sambuca right after.
wildtimes.club/info for all the links to everything. Go to bromunity.wildtimes.club to get to the forum where everybody's talking. BTG's hanging out in there. Forrest, he's not there. He sent me a 2 to 3
Come on.
paragraph long text about why. About why, at Wild Times Pod, I already said that. And
What
go
are
ahead,
you-
leave a
Are you
review.
drinking Ptarmigan schnapps, boy?
Fuck you. I despise you. I really
Please,
do.
we had a
positive.
nice hangout the other
Play the
day.
music.
Watched Home Alone
Play the
1 and
music.
2.
I want
Play
to
the music.
I want to continue my experiment. If you've listened this far into the pod, because I know everybody signed off, write Peter is gorgeous. Just write that in the comments, right? Nothing else. Just write Peter is gorgeous. If you've listened,
You could
this
also
far.
write.
I know
you
you're
could
lying
also
to
write.
yourself. Just
You could
write it.
also write. You could also write. Patrick
Nope.
has a baby dick. You can. You
Nope.
can write
Peter
that.
is gorgeous.
Pat, is there anything you'd like them to
Play
the
write?
music.
Or no?
Let's go.
Good luck.
Right.
Hope you get some Gariels.
Good night, baby.
Thank
dick.
you. All right.
I love you all.
Cheers.